There was no fire. Not yet. The night was long. The cold crept into bones. When the sun disappeared, all that remained was silence and breath, and the sound of the wind moving through tall, uncut grass. Okay. You sit with your group, your kin, beneath an overhang of stone. It is not a cave, not truly, but it blocks the rain. Mostly, you are wrapped in skins. Dear wolf, some so old you no longer know the animal. The skins are stiff and smell of earth. Everyone is quiet. No one speaks unless they must. Sound travels at night, and no one is sure what listens. There is no fire to gather around. No glow, no smoke. The darkness is complete. You see only the vague shapes of others, breathing slowly beside you. The children do not cry. They have learned not to. Your tools are near your side. Sharpened stone, a piece of bone, a rock with a smooth side. You do not know the names of the stars, but you know their movement. You watch them somewhere, far beyond the hills. Lightning has struck dry wood. A tree burns. You smell it faintly on the wind. Smoke, ash, warmth. You do not understand it, but you feel its power. You pull the skin tighter and wait for the sun. Okay. This is a survival situation. What would you do? How would you act? How would you survive? Would you make fire? What would you hunt first? How would you defend your camp? Play this game with us. Step into our shoes and let's see if we can survive together. The next morning, you awake before the sun. Your back is stiff from sleeping on hard ground. It is always like this. You shift position, careful not to make a sound. Beside you, someone stirs, then another. Soon there is movement all around. Your mate stirs beside you. You have slept, curled against each other, seeking warmth. She looks beautiful in the dim light. Her hair is the color of dried blood. Her eyes are closed. For a moment, you simply look at her. You love her. You have hunted with her, beside her, killed with her. She is strong and sure-footed. It's the best tracker in your group. You know this. She will keep you alive. As long as she lives, you will have food. A little way off, a young boy pees on a rock. He is small for his years. His bladder is full from the night's rest. That is normal. Hunger is a more pressing need. You all need to eat, but there is nothing to eat here. Nothing you know of. You must move. The hunting party will be back soon. They have been gone 3 days, 3 nights. It is too long. You do not know what they have found. Hold that it is much. You know where the hunters went? You were one of the hunters. The 3 of you left the group a few days ago. You were looking for food. All 3 of you were hungry. You had followed the tracks of deer for 2 days, running after them until you were exhausted and breathless. But the deer were fast and sure-footed and avoided you. On the 3rd day, you had found nothing to hunt, and the fires were low. So you made camp early and waited for the others to bring food back. Now the sun is up and everyone is stirring. The women and children are looking at you, hoping you have answers. You are the leader. It is up to you. You must make decisions. Your people look to you for guidance. You must be strong, brave, and smart. Your people's lives depend on it. What do? Days pass. You leave the camp and take 2 others with you. Food is low, must be replaced. You are trackers, like your mate. You can read the signs in the ground and the markings on trees. You can hear the calls of animals and know their meaning. There are fewer animals than there used to be. This land is good, but the winters have been harsh and many have died. For 3 days, you search. You find nothing. The going is slow and difficult. You are tired. You walk softly now, taking care not to disturb the tall grass that surrounds you. If you are quiet, you might not be seen. You might be able to hunt. The others are quiet too. Soon, the 3 of you are nearly silent, moving through the grass, eyes sharp. Your stomachs growl. You ignore the sound. The animals hear. Your hunt will be over before it begins. At midday, the sun beats down on you. It is hot. You wipe the sweat from your brow. You must find food today. There is little water left, and the children will suffer most. There is a stream nearby. It is shallow, but there will be water. It should be enough. You follow the course of the stream. You hope to find fish. You see the water moving between grasses. You kneel by the edge and dip your hand inside. The water is cold and sweet. There are minnows inside. You close your hand quickly, hiding the wriggling fish in your palm. You squeeze tight and run to your companions. You show them the fish. One of your companions takes the fish and breaks it over his knee. The other watches you. He does not smile, but his eyes are kind. You know he approves. You return to the stream and catch more fish. Your companion does the same. So the third stays by the stream, watching for predators. Soon you have several fish. You divide them equally and take them back to camp. You arrive just before sunset. The others have found nothing. You give half of your fish to the women. They will prepare them and give them to the children first. The children are thin and their bellies are swollen. Some will die. You know this. You wish it were otherwise. You hand the fish to the women and stay with the men. They are sharpening their spears. You all eat what you have caught. It is not much. You sleep early that night, grateful for the fish, worried about the morrow. The next morning, you leave the camp again. This time with 5 others. The lookout sees you go. He'll warn you if danger comes. You take sticks with you, sharp sticks. You are walking to a wide open area. There should be good hunting here. The tall grass ends at the edge of the woods. There are tall trees here, but there are no bushes or vines or places to hide. It's easy to see for miles. You spread out, moving slowly. Your eyes never leave the ground. Every little movement is watched. The wind is warm on your skin. The sun is high overhead. You stop and drink from your water skin. You fill it at the stream when you left camp. There is just enough for all of you. You were thirsty. You move out again, spreading out once more. After a while, you see movement on the horizon. At first, it is just a shape. Then it grows larger. You watch it carefully. It is a herd of deer, 4 of them. They seem unconcerned with you. Signal your companions. You want to get closer. You must get within range. The deer are wary. They keep moving. Finally, you decide you are close enough. You drop to one knee, drawing your bow. You take an arrow from your quiver. You notch it and aim. The others are ready also. You let the arrow fly. It finds its mark. You watch as the arrow strikes the largest of the deer. It falls. The others take off. You shout for them to stop. The wounded deer is theirs if they can catch it, but the others are too fast. You turn back to the fallen deer. You walk toward it slowly. You reach out and touch its flank. It is dead. You kneel beside it, grateful for its sacrifice. It will survive a little longer. You cut the rope from its leg and take the skin from its back. You will tan the hide. Later, you will use it to protect you from the cold and the rain. You will use it to trade with others. You are a hunter. You are a provider. Because of you, your people will live a little longer. When you return to camp, the women will take the deer and begin butchering it. The meat will be dried and smoked. It will last until spring. Your work is done. You are weary and hungry. You eat with your people, sharing the bounty of the hunt. You tell stories and jokes. You listen to the children's laughter. It is good to be alive. You feel the warmth of the fire on your face. You smell the cooking meat on the breeze. You listen to the sounds of your people coming together. You feel the connection to your kin. It is good. It is strong. You are grateful to be part of this group, to be alive another day, to be surrounded by those you love. You close your eyes and savor the moment. Tomorrow, you will hunt again. Today, you rest. The first time it happens, you don't notice at all. It begins not with a flame, but with a question, a wondering, a pause. You are breaking open a piece of flint to shape a new scraper. The blow is hard, but precise. A spark leaps from stone to stone, tiny, gone in a moment. You blink. No one else notices. You strike again. Another spark. Small, fast, but there. You are certain now. You do not know the word for spark. You do not have one. But you know what it might become. Many days you try. When the others are out gathering roots, you sit by the dry moss, strike flint against hard rock. Sometimes it sparks. Sometimes it does not. You wait. You try different stones, drier moss, rotten wood. Nothing catches. You do not understand, but you keep trying. One day, the moss darkens where the spark lands. It's barely. A thread of smoke rises. Then nothing. Still. It was closer. You say nothing. You hide the moss. You strike again. The others return. You act as though nothing happened. Inside, something has begun to shift. This is a story about fire. It's not the beginning of fire. That story is told so often it has become a myth. We know it well. We know how the hero climbs up the mountain, how he endures cold and loneliness, how his spirit is almost broken. And then he finds it. The flint and steel, the courage of the mountain, the heart of the sun, strikes, and the spark falls and lights the world. We know that story. This is not that story. This is a story about remembering, about the forgetting of fire, about the work and worry that go into keeping that spark alive. You live in a world where fire is rare. People travel from tribe to tribe, telling stories around fires that they gather from place to place. They tell tales of heroes who tamed wild animals, who wrestled bears into submission and wove their skins into warm cloaks. They sing of hunters who tracked mammoths for weeks, whose arrows flew straight and true, whose spears were keen and strong. There are stories of women who ground grain into flour, who coaxed new life from seeds and fruit. These are good stories, okay? They make children brave, teach young men strategy, remind people how to plant crops so that they grow and do not wither. Stories sustain you. They are the hearth fire that warms a cold cave, okay? But sometimes you want more than stories. Sometimes you want warmth that will last longer than the night. Sometimes you want more than the light that flickers and fades. Sometimes you want a real fire. But what does that mean? What is a real fire? You do not know. In the oldest part of your brain, deep in the reptile complex, an instinct stirs. Something tells you what you need. Something like fire, but you cannot say why. Something is wrong with the world. There are long nights. There are dangerous things. You shiver in the darkness. You feel the urge to build a wall of stone and set a fire within it, a proper fire that will last all night. Ward off wolves and keep the wind from whistling through cracks in your shelter. Something is wrong with the world, and you must fix it. You must bring back fire. When the others are out gathering roots, you stay behind. You watch your fire, tend it, add fuel. You do not know why. You do not know what you hope to accomplish, but you know that this must be done. You search the wreckage of yesterday's camp, find a flattish piece of shale, break off a chunk of flint, scrape the shale until you get a sharp edge. You hold the two pieces together and try to strike sparks from one to another. Nothing. Try as you may, you cannot make a fire, but you are not ready to give up. You will find a way. You will learn to make a fire. One day, the shaman comes upon you. She sees the work you are doing. She asks if you need help. You shake your head. You do not know what to say. She sits beside you, takes the shale and flint. She strikes them together. Again and again, she strikes. Nothing. You watch her struggling, trying to catch the meaning in her eyes, and she smiles. Then she hands the shell to you, steps away, and strikes it with the flint. Sparks fly. One spark catches on the shell. The small fire grows into a big fire, the kind of fire that can roast meat and boil water and drive away wolves. You stare at the fire. Something is right in the world again. The shaman looks at you. She knows you have been chosen. Now you must go alone. You must remember the path. You must never forget. At the bottom of your soul, deeper than memory, something wakes. It is powerful, ancient, terrible. It hungers for warmth and light, for power. It hungers to make the world new. It hungers to consume the world. Do you give into it? I can't tell you. You are no hero. You are just a person. You have desires, needs, and dreams. But most of all, you have fear. Fear of the dark, fear of the cold, fear of being powerless. All I can tell you is that when you face that hunger, when you feed that fire, it will ask for more. Are you willing to give it everything? Are you ready to become someone else? Are you sure you want to change the world? If you say yes, you deserve a proper fire. You will get a proper fire. You walk barefoot through the snow. Your breath freezes in the air. It has been many moons since you felt such cold. You clutch the flint and steel in your hands. You think of the shaman, of the wisdom in her eyes, of the stories she has told, of the lessons she has taught. You wonder if she remembers you. You wonder if she thinks of you. You wonder if she has sent you, or called you, or chosen you. You do not know. You cannot know. All you can do is walk. You come to a river, cross over, climb a hill. In the distance, you see a cave. It looks like shelter, but you cannot be certain. You walk on. As you approach the mouth of the cave, the ground grows hot underfoot. You hear a rush of air, a smell of wood smoke curling up out of the darkness. You pause. You are hesitant. You have walked alone for so long. You have seen nothing but snow and ice and sky. You do not know what to say. You do not know what to do. You do not know what to expect. You stand outside the cave and call out, "Hello?" You wait for a response, but the only sound is the crackle of flames. Then you step inside. You are blinded by darkness, by smoke, by the sight of the great fire that roars inside the cave. Before you can speak, a figure rises from the shadows. He holds a spear tipped with flint. His eyes burn bright in the darkness. He is wary. He is fierce. He does not know you. You do not know him, but you both know what you need. He says, "Who are you?" Hey. You say, "I am the one who remembers." You show him the flint and steel. "Do you want fire?" "I already have fire," he says. "And we do not take kindly to trespassers." You nod slowly. Understand, but I have something you might want. Something I think you need. I have remembered another kind of fire. You raise your flint and steel and strike them together. Sparks fly like stars. There's a good chance we all have a survivalist fantasy somewhere deep inside of us. Whether it's the specter of nuclear war, climate chaos, or just our own self-centered desire to be the last man standing. There's something appealing about the idea that you could survive anything, even when everything went to hell. In today's video, I want to share with you the story of how a group of young people survived for a year in the woods. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our awesome videos. Also, give this a thumbs up if you think they deserve some recognition. Another day, then another. You wait to the endless greens and blues. The forest stretches before you, rustling, murmuring, always moving. In the sunlit patch of ground, you find a variety of dried grasses and pull them free of their moorings. You have used these tall, brittle straws for kindling before. They catch the spark easily, but they burn fast, too. You carry a flat stone from a previous camp, one that has a dull edge, but can serve as a hammer if needed. In your pouch, tucked away in a waterproof bag, is the strange moss that once smoked. You remember the day you found this patch by the river, wreathed in fog, an entire swath of it, black and lifeless, but you knew better than to pick it then. So you marked the spot and returned when the fog had lifted, hoping to capture it in its healthy green state. You did, and you rubbed two stones together until they sparked. You touched the sparks to the moss and felt its resistance at first, then the slow acceptance that signaled a reaction, and then, yes, a single puff of gray smoke. But that was all. No flame. The others are away again. While you tend to the fire, they dig, climb, follow the river, fish, scout. Everyone does what they can to add to the growing list of necessities. They leave you to this, though. It's not because you asked, not because anyone suggested it. but somehow it has become your responsibility. The task fits you well, suits you in a way you never expected. You strike again, flint on rock, spark on moss, a breath, a puff of gray, then stillness. Your fingers shake. You try again. The smoke appears more easily now. The moss accepts the spark more quickly, but still, it dies. There is no flame, only heat and hope. You do not give up. You will not. You do not know why the others have left you here. Perhaps it is because there is no answer. Perhaps it is because it matters less that there be an answer and more that you try, but you do not ask. This is not like hunting, where the deer runs and the spear must be fast. This is not like gathering berries, where the bush is full, or it is not. This is slower, stranger. It does not care if you are tired, does not care if you wait. It does not need you. You need it. And so the days go by. Gather the materials you need and wait. Sometimes you walk among the trees, feeling the cool bark against your skin, watching the leaves shift in the breeze, listening to the birds. Other times you stay put, keeping watch over the dying embers of yesterday's fire, waiting for the day to grow long enough to start again. You do not see the deer, but it sees you. Soon, the woods hold their breath around you. It does not know why, but you feel the shift in the air, the prickle at the back of your neck. You know that eyes are on you, watching, waiting, and still you do not move. One afternoon, something changes. The moss blackens. You fold it into the dry grass. You blow, slowly. The grass darkens. Faint smoke. You blow again. A red point. A glow. It fades. But for a moment, you saw it. Fire. The others return, and you say nothing. That night, the air grows cold again. The skins do little. You curl inward, but your mind stays warm. You are close. So close. The night is filled with the sounds of the forest. Barking dogs in the distance, the screech of an owl, the rustle of small animals in the underbrush, the soft sigh of the wind through the trees. You listen to them all, each telling a story of survival, each a testament to the endurance of life. And you wonder if they hear the sound you make, a small, steady breath. When morning comes, the others are still asleep. You rise, pulling your cloak tighter about you. The chill lingers in the air, but the memory of last night's fire keeps it from reaching you. You gather wood, start the day's preparations, and soon the camp stirs. One by one, the others rise and come to help. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. You keep your secret close. Some nights the dreams come, and in them you run. You run from something dark, though you cannot tell what. Something that looms and reaches and wants to take you away. You wake with the taste of copper on your tongue and the memory of terror in your heart. In those moments, you are grateful for the solid earth beneath you. The rough bark of the trees, the smell of pine needles and damp soil. You are grateful for the fire, for the warmth it brings, for the light. Then, slowly, surely, the terrors of the night begin to fade, replaced by the wonders of the day. You learn to read the signs in the sky, to tell the time by the sun's position, to find your way by the stars at night. You learn to track animals, to identify edible plants, to build shelters, to hunt. You learn to live off the land. A year passes, the seasons turn. The forest changes from a sea of green to a tapestry of gold and crimson, then to a stark silhouette against a white, featureless sky. All around you, nature endures, and you, too, when the first tentative buds of spring appear, pushing their way through the dead leaves on the forest floor. You know you are alive. You have survived. A wave of emotion threatens to overwhelm you. Fear, grief, anger, elation, joy. But you hold it back. You have endured for a year. You can endure a little longer. Because even as the world outside the forest stirs back to life, you know that you are not safe yet. The danger is not past. Turn to the others, your companions in this ordeal, and you see the same understanding in their eyes. You are ready. You have to be. Have survived this long. But what happens next? Are they able to get out of the woods after a year of total immersion in nature? Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. And don't forget to give this a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any of our awesome videos. First, the light. Do you remember the first time you saw the light? Can you go back to that place? First, the light. The sun comes up every morning and goes down every evening. That's how it's always been, and we never think about it. We get up when it's light outside. We work while it's light outside. We eat while it's light outside. When it gets dark, we turn on our lights, and it's almost like the sun keeps shining in our room. So we never really see the dark, okay? And if we do, we don't stay in it for long, okay? And so you never think about what it would feel like if you stayed in the dark, if you closed your eyes and stayed still and didn't look at the sun when it shines or at the moon when it glows. If you never looked at any light, then one day the light might surprise you. It might catch you off guard. It could happen when you walk outside after staying inside for a long time. Or it could happen when you finally look up after staring at your feet the whole time. You lift your head up, your eyes open wide, and there it is, right in front of you, all of a sudden, because you never knew how much you missed it. It happens on a quiet day. No wind, no rain, no voices. You sit near the edge of the river bend, on a patch of dry earth warmed by the sun. The flint is in your hand. The dry moss folded carefully. The bundle of grass, shaped like a small nest, lies nearby. You strike. A spark. A breath. Smoke. You breathe again. It's a slow, steady stream of air. Not too fast. Not too strong. Smoke thickens. The moss glows red. Then, with no sound, a single thread of flame curls into life. A glow. A flicker. You do not move. You only breathe. The flame grows. The grass catches. A tiny fire burns in your hands. You are still. The world is still. You feel the warmth on your face. It is not imagined. It is not the sun. You have made fire. What did you say? I'm sorry? I didn't hear you over the crackling of the flames. You're going to need more than that to convince me. Okay, then come closer. Let me show you something. See this ring? This is where the fire started. Here in this ring, the rocks are warm. They will be warm for hours. Okay. And beyond that circle, everything is cold. Okay. The stones, the dirt, the leaves, even the air feels cooler where the fire isn't. Okay? And you know that the heat from this little fire can't reach everywhere. Okay? It can't warm the entire forest. It's just this tiny point of light and warmth in the vast darkness. So don't talk about things you don't understand. Don't try to explain something you've never experienced before. Just sit here with me, watch the flames dance, and listen to the logs crackle, the warmth sink into you, and feel the silence all around us. Sometimes understanding doesn't matter. Sometimes you just have to believe. Okay, and sometimes it's enough just to be here. You feed it a stick, then another. The flame accepts them. It does not leave. You sit beside it until the sun begins to fall. The shadows grow long. The air cools, but you are warm. You do not tell anyone. Not yet. You must be sure. The first time you felt the sun on your skin, was it warm or was it hot? Did you like it? Did you want more, or did you seek shade? The sun keeps coming back. Every year it comes back, and we never really think about it. We plan our days around it. We wake up when it's going to shine. We go to bed when it's not. But do you ever watch it set? Do you watch it turn the sky into a painter's palette of reds, oranges, and purples? Or do you watch it disappear over the horizon, leaving the world in shades of gray until it comes back again? Do you remember the first time you felt the breeze on your skin? What did it feel like? Was it warm or was it cool? Did you like it? Did you want more Or did you hold out your arms to catch it? The wind keeps blowing. Every day it blows across the fields and through the trees, and we never really think about it. We feel it on our skin, and we know it's there. Watch it make the trees sway and the flags fly. But do you ever watch it dance in the tall grass or spin a leaf around until it falls? Do you watch it sculpt the clouds or paint the waves? Do you remember the first time you heard the rain on the roof? What did it sound like? Was it drumming or whispering? Did you like it? Did you want more? Or did you run to the window to watch it? The rain keeps falling. Every day it falls from the sky and makes the world green and clean, and we never really think about it. We feel it on our skin, and we know it's there. We watch it fill the rivers and the clouds. But do you ever watch it slide down a window pane or trickle down a leaf? Do you watch it turn a small puddle into a big one, or a tiny stream into a raging torrent? But you are warm. You do not tell anyone. Not yet. You must be sure. Now, close your eyes. Can you hear the wind? Do you feel the sun? Can you hear the rain? Is it warm or is it cool? Do you like it? Did you want more or did you seek shade? Now, open your eyes. Look around you. Can you see the wind? Can you see the sun? Can you see the rain? Can you feel them? Are they real? Are they here? Or are they inside you? It's the last time I checked, there were only two certainties in life. One was that the sun will rise tomorrow, and the other was that it will set tonight. As the sun sets, you feel its warmth fade away, replaced by the gentle coolness of the evening. The sky transforms into a canvas of vibrant colors, each hue more beautiful than the last. The world around you seems to hold its breath, captivated by the spectacle above. In this moment of transition, you find solace in the ephemeral beauty of nature's grand finale. You watch the sun dip below the horizon, knowing that with each passing moment, darkness envelops the land. The shadows grow longer, stretching like eager fingers reaching towards the fading light. The air grows still, carrying the whispers of the day's end. As the final sliver of sunlight disappears, the sky deepens into a velvety black, studded with the first twinkling stars. The world is plunged into darkness, but not in a way that frightens you. Instead, it feels like a cozy blanket enveloping you, inviting you to rest. The absence of light does not bring fear, but a sense of peace. You stand there, enveloped by the darkness, feeling its comforting embrace. In this quiet moment, you realize that darkness is not something to be feared, but a companion to be embraced. It is a time for reflection, for dreams to take flight, and for the promise of a new dawn to glimmer on the horizon. The cycle of day and night continues, reminding you of life's eternal rhythm. And as you step into the darkness, you carry with you the warmth of the setting sun and the hope of a new beginning. But you are warm. You do not tell anyone. Not yet. You must be sure. When you tell stories, they become part of our history. These are the stories that shape who we are. The next day, you do it again. You wake before the sun, before anyone else moves. You gather materials, the dry grass, the soft moss, the fallen spark from the rock face. You work quickly, but carefully. Your hands are sure now. The rhythm of this task flows through you. Your fingers know the way. With a deep breath, you step back. You have made a shelter, a nest of grass, and within it, a bed of moss, and in the center, like a glowing ember, the spark of stone. A group has gathered near your camp. Their faces are curious. Their eyes are questioning. Some whisper to each other. Others shake their heads. A woman steps forward. Her tone is sharp, her gaze intense. She is beautiful in a wild way, like a hawk, like the storm. She carries a knife. Its blade catches the light. She reaches for the spark, but you move. The woman freezes. For a moment, she stares at you. Then she looks at the spark. Then she slowly draws back. You feel a prickle of fear along your spine. You know this woman. She is the huntress. She is fearless. She takes what she wants, and right now, she wants that spark. You will not give it to her. You hold your ground. The huntress looks away. She does not understand. Nothing can be done here without the fire. You think about speaking, but what could you say? How could you explain why this rock must burn? Suddenly, a small voice cuts through the quiet. It's a little girl, the one who fell yesterday. She steps forward. Her eyes shine with excitement. She is pointing to the spark. She is babbling, but you understand? She wants to touch it, to feel it, before you can react. The huntress has scooped the child into her arms. The girl struggles, but the huntress holds her tight. She looks at you, her expression unreadable. She speaks. Her voice is hard, but there is something else beneath it, something hesitant. She asks if you will teach her. You nod slowly. She sets the girl down and kneels beside you. She picks up a handful of moss. She hesitates. Then she cups the moss around the spark. It bursts into flame. The girl gasps. The woman's eyes widen. She pulls back. She looks at the fire, then at you. Slowly, she reaches out and touches the warmth. A smile breaks across her face. The girl squeals and runs to her mother. Two of them laugh, the huntress and the child. For the first time, you see gentleness on the huntress's face. You look away. Your heart aches with a strange longing. You show them how to make a fire pit. You dig a shallow hole in the packed earth. You use flat stones to make a circle. It needs to be big enough to contain the flames. The huntress watches intently. When you finish, you both stand back to admire your work. You explain the next part. You gather sticks and leaves, but not too much. You need air to get the fire started. The huntress seems to understand. You pick up a twig and drop it into the center. You take a deep breath. This is the hardest part. You strike the spark into the stick. The huntress leans closer, her eyes never leaving yours. The stick begins to smoke. It glows red. It bursts into flame. The huntress does not flinch when sparks fly. She steps back, but not too far. You keep adding fuel. The fire grows bigger. The flame stands higher. The huntress smiles. She throws a pinnacone into the fire. It explodes into sparks. She laughs. The sound is wild and free. Then the huntress does it herself. She gathers the materials. She makes the shelter. She holds the spark. She builds the fire pit. She strikes the spark. You stand by and help when she needs it. You show her how to feed the fire, how to coax it, how to control it. As the fire grows, so does the huntress's confidence. Her movements become sharper, more precise. Her eyes gleam with triumph. You know she could do this on her own. You let her lead. You step back. The huntress brings the fire to the group. They stare at the flames. They speak in hushed voices. The huntress stands tall, her chest swelling with pride. She holds out her hand. Someone hesitantly places a small branch in her palm. She drops it into the fire. It bursts into flames. The crowd erupts into cheers. The children scream with delight. The men thump their chests. The women clap their hands. The huntress smiles, her eyes shining brighter than the flames. That night, you eat in silence. The fire crackles between you. You are full from the day before. Hey, there is no need to waste food, but you don't want the fire to go out. So you feed it small branches, twigs, leaves. It doesn't need much, it just needs tending. You watch the flames dance in the darkness. You see the faces of those around you, the wonder, the awe, the gratitude. You know this fire will keep them safe tonight. In the morning, the fire is low. You rise and poke it, bring it back to life. You feed it green branches. It coughs and sputters, but it will last until midday. You do not need it anymore. You are leaving. You pack your bag. You braid your hair. You put on your necklace. The huntress stands beside you. Her hair is a mess. You reach out to fix it. Your fingers linger. She looks away. The silence stretches. You both know this may be the last chance. You take a deep breath. You lean in. Your lips meet. It is a surprise, a shock, a revelation. The kiss takes you over. Your head spins. You pull away. You fumble with your bag. The huntress speaks, her voice hoarse. She says goodbye. She turns and walks away. You watch her go. You want to call after her, but you don't. You know she will find her own way. You walk toward the mountains. After a while, you hear a shout. You turn and see the huntress running toward you. Her hair flies behind her. She is breathless. She is smiling. You ask where they are going. She replies with a grin. She tells you to follow. She leads you to a clearing. The others are gathered there. The children run and play. The adults work on weapons or tools. There is a calm strength here, a sense of community. A man with a thick beard spots you. He calls out a greeting. The woman carrying a bow and arrows joins you. She, too, smiles. The huntress introduces you, naming you as the fire maker. The others murmur with approval. The bearded man claps you on the shoulder. You all sit in a circle. The huntress places her head on your knee. She squeezes your hand. You stroke her hair. The man with the beard speaks. His voice is deep and resonant. He thanks you. He tells you how your fire brought them together, made them stronger. He asks if you will stay with them. You look into his eyes, see kindness and respect. You know you will be safe here. You agree to stay. The next day, the entire group is out hunting. You stay behind with the elder. You teach him about your world, about where you come from. He teaches you about theirs, about who they are. You learn their language. You exchange stories. You learn about the land, about its secrets, its dangers, its bounty. You showed the elder how to start a fire without a spark, using 2 pieces of wood. He is amazed. He asks if there is anything else you can teach him. You think for a moment. You decide to teach him about reading the stars, about finding your way without a map. As the sun sets, the others return with food. There is plenty to share. The huntress rushes to the elder. She is chattering excitedly. He listens patiently, his gaze never leaving you. When she is done, he turns back to you. He asks if you would like to join them on their next hunt. You agree? You walk single file through the trees. The huntress keeps glancing at you. You catch her eye. She quickly looks away. You stop when you hear a deer. Huh? The huntress freezes. She motions for you to wait. She creeps forward. You strain to listen. The huntress raises her knife. She is ready. You hold your ground. The deer steps out of the trees. The huntress lunges. The deer leaps away. You both stand still for a moment. The huntress lowers her knife. She looks at you. She asks if you want to try. You hesitate. You don't want to hurt the animal. The huntress lays a hand on your arm. She tells you to close your eyes. Breathe. Be still. You do as she says. When you open your eyes, you can see clearly. You spot a rabbit. You point. The huntress nods. She gives you the knife. You step forward. Now it comes easily. You know the rhythm. You know the breath. You know the patience. You bring the fire to the shelter. At first, the others pull back. They watch with wide eyes. The children cling to their mothers. Huh. One man stands between you and the group, spear in hand. But the fire does not move. It stays where you placed it. Small, bright, quiet. No one speaks. That night, you build the first fire in the center of your sleeping circle. You feed it small branches. It cracks softly. The shadows flicker on the stone walls. No one speaks, but no one sleeps cold. The fire burns low into the night. You take turns feeding it. By morning, everything is different. And yet, nothing has changed. I've been thinking a lot about fire lately, like literally all of the time. Why? Well, a couple of weeks ago, my wife and I bought an old house with a fireplace. So every evening, I get to enjoy a beautiful, roaring fire. You probably think this must be pretty neat. And yeah, it is really nice. but it made me think about something else. I started to wonder, what was the first thing that we cooked on our fire? As a kid, growing up in a rural village in the mountains of North Carolina, most nights I would go to bed hungry. My mom worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table, and most of the things that she brought home were just too spicy for me to eat. So I would watch her eating beans and rice, and then sneak into the fireplace and eat the corn that had fallen out of her dinner. It was the only way that I could get enough to eat. Yeah, but what was the first thing that we cooked on our fire? What was the first meal that we shared as a family that was just stolen from someone else's plate? Well, after I asked this question so many times and getting no answers, I decided to find out. So, let's try to imagine what it must have been like. In the beginning, the days pass. It is hard to remember exactly when the days began. When the sun rises, you don't know. When the sun sets, you don't know. The days pass. You don't sit in darkness, but there are moments of shade and moments of light. And when the light fades, you are afraid. But each night, one person remembers to bring a torch. At first, the flame is small, thin. You huddle around it. A child cries. A woman holds him close. A man keeps the fire going by blowing on it. Fire is small. Then the fire is steady. You begin to make better nests of grass, softer beds of leaves. You choose better wood, taller trees, stronger branches. You learn that wet sticks do not burn. You learn that pine smells different than oak. You learn that some things hiss, others crackle, and some burn with almost no sound at all. You do not name these things, but you know them. Then the children begin to play near the flame. Not too close, not yet, but the elders warm their joints. Hands go in and out of the fire. Take fish from the water. They put meat on flat stones beside the fire, and the meat smells different now, softer, richer. No more scraping the pots clean. Plenty for all, okay? Even extra for the hunters, for the gatherers, more than they need. For the first time, you watch the stars less, and you look at the fire more. You ask questions about the fire. Where does it come from? How do we keep it going? Can we make it bigger? Smaller? What happens if we throw in different things? The people answered these questions. They don't know everything, but they know enough. Each night, they tell stories while they keep the fire going, and the children listen. They tell stories of the day, of the hunt, of the chase. They tell stories of scary beasts and helpful spirits. They tell stories of other fires, distant fires, fires that might still be burning somewhere, waiting for someone to return to them. One night, you wake up and you realize that someone has crawled into your nest and curled up beside you. You don't know how long you slept or who it was that shared your nest. The next day, you wonder if anyone else woke up and if they remember. You don't want to be the only one who slept. You don't want to be the only one who remembers. But later that day, you see the same child playing near the fire. He looks up and smiles. You ask him, "Did he sleep last night?" He nods his head slowly and says, "Yes, it was good." He asks if you want to share a nest tonight. You agree? That night, you feed the fire and you lie down beside it. For the first time in your memory, you dream in warmth. And then one morning you wake up and you think, the fire has changed the world, or only our place in it. There is no answer, but each night you feed the flame. That becomes your life. Your day is spent chasing, gathering, building. Your evenings are spent beside the fire. The fire does not speak, but it stays, and that is enough. You watch the changing seasons reflected in the fire. Spring floods the world with new growth. The fire crackles with fresh sap. Summer days are long and hot. The fire glows with the heat of the sun. Leaves pile up outside, and the fire burns with the red gold of falling leaves. Winter winds blow cold, and winter rains fall, and the fire burns steadily, giving heat and light to those gathered around it. The fire is the heart of the world and your home. You have no other gods but the warmth and light. You have no other law but sharing the fire. You have no other hope but that the fire will stay. And year after year, you are born. Children are born, and you feed the fire. The world was colder than usual this year, so we kept our fire going all night long. I'm telling you this because I think you need to know that even though fire brings warmth, it also brings duty. The flame must not go out. At first, no one thought it would be a problem. Everyone else fell asleep, and the fire died down. The next day was cold again. The smoke from our campfire remained in the trees, but the glow had vanished. We huddled around the dying embers, poking at them with sticks, trying to get them to catch. The spark was still there, but it needed fuel. The moss was damp, so it worked, but not easily. That's how we learned. Fire brings warmth, but it also brings duty. The flame must not go out. So each night, we chose one of us to stay awake, to watch, to feed the flame. A log every little while, a soft breath to stir the coals. You were the first to volunteer. You sat alone, wrapped in skins, while the rest of us slept, wrapped in our blankets, snuggled up together, dreaming of warmer days, of home, of hearth fires and hot stoves. I remember you sitting there in the darkness, not making a sound. You watched the fire, the only light in the deep, dark woods. I don't think any of us knew then what it would mean to sit by a fire all night. I certainly didn't, but you did. You looked ready for it. Perhaps you were thinking of a time before, a time when you had to sit by a fire all night long, keep it fueled, tended, make sure it didn't die out. But I wasn't thinking of anything. I was watching the fire. I listened to the woods. The owls called back and forth to each other. Something rustled in the ferns nearby. I couldn't see what it was, but I felt a prickle of fear, and I wanted to shout, to make a noise. You didn't. You just sat there, and you watched the fire. The flames rose higher, and then sank back down to glowing embers. The wind shifted. My breath caught in my throat. Would the fire go out? I wanted to ask you if you were afraid, but I didn't. The fire sputtered. A new gust of wind threatened to snuff it out entirely. You poked at the embers with a stick, sending sparks flying. The fire took a deep breath and then steadied itself. It was the first time anyone had ever kept the warmth alive through the night. Days turned into nights. Nights turned into days. We followed the stream downstream, always moving, always searching, but never speaking of what we were looking for. Some said we were running from something. Others said we were running to something. I didn't know, and I didn't care. All I knew was that each night, one of us had to sit by the fire and watch it so it would go out. Each night, someone different sat by the fire. But you volunteered every night. You were good at it too, You could read the fire like a book, anticipate its needs before they became urgent. Quote, when the flames grew low, you added wood without being asked. Cues stirred the embers when the wind threatened to extinguish them. You blew on them gently, sending sparks dancing into the night. You made it look easy, like tending a fire wasn't a monumental task, a necessary sacrifice to ensure our survival. I sat by the fire the night before my birthday. It wasn't a happy occasion. Birthdays aren't much of a celebration in times like these. In fact, some might say they're a foolish thing to even acknowledge. What's the point of marking the passage of time when everything seems to be standing still? But birthdays are important to me, or at least they used to be. It's not that I'm vain, or at least I don't think I am. It's just that birthdays reminded me of who I used to be, of the life I once lived, of a time when the future stretched out before me like a road without an end, full of promise and potential, when the worst thing that could happen was running out of cake before everyone got a slice. I miss that girl sometimes, wonder if she ever thinks of me. That night, no one volunteered to sit by the fire. The others were already asleep when I woke up and saw that we needed wood. I went to gather some, but I wasn't fast enough. By the time I returned with the branches, The fire was almost out. The embers glowed faintly like dying stars. Panic seized me. What if it went out? What if we were plunged into darkness and cold? What if the others woke up and found me sleeping, the fire dead at my feet? I threw the branches onto the pyre, hoping it was enough. I stood there for a moment, chest heaving, heart pounding in my ears. Then I started to feed the fire, coaxing it back to life, trying to steady my breathing. I didn't want anyone to see my fear. I had to be strong. I was the only one awake. I was responsible. As the sky began to lighten, I calmed down. The fire crackled merrily now, sending sparks spiraling into the brightening sky. I sat down beside it and leaned back against a log. The forest was silent, except for the birdsong, a gentle breeze rustling the leaves overhead. For a moment, I forgot where I was, who I was, what I was doing. I closed my eyes and breathed deeply, trying to memorize the feeling of sun on my skin, the smell of pine needles and damp earth, the taste of freedom in my mouth. I could stay here forever, I thought, or at least until the next night when I would have to start all over again. Then I heard footsteps crunching on the gravel path. Someone was coming toward me. I opened my eyes, startled. I hadn't heard anyone else wake up. Whoever it was, they were close now. I scrambled to my feet and brushed dirt off my clothes. It was just you. You stood there, blinking in the morning light, a questioning look on your face. For a moment, neither of us spoke. I stared at you, then at the fire, then back at you. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to break the spell, but you did. You asked me, "Are you all right?" I nodded, surprised by my own voice, hoarse from disuse. That was the first time I had spoken in days. You didn't ask any more questions. You didn't need to. You could read me like a book. You gathered wood and helped me rebuild the fire. Together, we coaxed it back to life, feeding the flames with sticks and pine cones. As the fire grew, so did my confidence. I started to laugh, a shaky sound at first, then louder and louder until I was practically screaming with joy. You laughed too, and for a moment, just a moment, the world felt right again. But it wasn't. You were still shackled to the fire, doomed to spend every night alone, watching the flames, feeding the embers, guarding the warmth against the encroaching darkness. I was glad it was you, watching the fire, keeping it alive. I went back to sleep, knowing that when I woke up, the fire would still be there, giving off a comforting glow, banishing the shadows just a little bit more. I was glad it was you, watching the fire, keeping it alive. The sun dips behind the hill, the long shadows stretching like sleepy fingers across the valley. You've made camp for the night, the day's journey done, the animals fed and settled, and now the people around the fire are beginning to drift off to sleep. Then a voice cuts through the quiet, asking, "How did you get that fire started?" You look up to see a young girl sitting up on a log, staring intently at the dancing flames. Beside her, an older man stirs, rousing from his slumber. "How do you start a fire, little wolf?" he asks, looking questioningly at you. The two of you share a knowing glance. A smile touches your lips. This moment has been a long time coming. You have carried this knowledge for many seasons now, and it is good to see it spread. Taking a deep breath, you rise and walk towards the edge of the firelight. Turning back, you motion for the others to follow you. The short trek to the riverbank seems longer than it should be. With every step, your anticipation grows. When you reach your destination, you turn to find the group standing silently before you. Pointing to the stones, you squat down beside them. Running your hand over the smooth surface, you feel a surge of pride. How many times have you sat here, honing your skills, pushing yourself to be better? How many hours have you spent in this very spot, learning the secrets of the flint and steel? Slowly, you begin to move, twisting the flint and striking it against the steel. Sparks fly, catching the wind, and disappearing into the darkening sky. You continue your rhythm, faster now, the sparks coming more freely. Looking back, you see the girl and the old man mimicking your movements. The girl is surprisingly quick to pick up the motions, but the old man struggles, his hands shaking slightly. The others stand patiently watching, waiting for their turn. As your fire grows, so does the girl's. She has a respectable pile of burning embers in her hands. You offer her a small smile, and she returns it, her face lighting up with accomplishment. The old man's fire, however, refuses to catch. No matter how hard he tries, his hands are too slow, his movements uncertain. Sighing, he stops, letting the flint fall from his numb fingers. It lands on the stone with a dull thud. You notice the disappointment clouding his features, the defeat in his posture. You know what it's like to struggle with the flint and steel, to feel like you're fighting a losing battle. You've been there, and it's not a place you wish anyone to stay for long. But then, something unexpected happens. The young girl rises from her squatting position and walks towards the old man. Reaching out, she gently takes the flint and steel from his trembling hands. He looks up at her, surprised by her sudden movement. Without saying a word, the girl squats down beside the stones and begins her motions again. Faster, stronger, steadier. She doesn't rush, but there's a quiet determination in her eyes that speaks of resilience. As she strikes the stones together, sparks shower upwards, catching the wind and swirling around her in a mesmerizing dance. Each spark is a testament to her patience, her strength, her unwavering focus. After what feels like an eternity, but is probably only a few moments, the flint and steel fall still. The girl looks down at her hands, a small smile gracing her lips as she reveals a small pile of glowing embers. She holds them out for the old man to see, her eyes shining with triumph. The old man's face breaks into a wide grin, his earlier disappointment forgotten. He reaches out, taking the flint and steel from the girl and placing them on the ground beside him. Now, the real work begins. Gathering dry grasses and fallen twigs, you show the group how to form a small nest, ensuring the sticks are close enough to touch, but not so close that they'll burn too fiercely. You teach them to blow gently, to keep the flames small at first, gradually increasing the air, allowing the fire to grow. The girl watches intently, absorbing your every move. You see the same determination in her eyes that you saw when she was striking the flint and steel. As you finish building the nest, the old man hesitates, his eyes flickering between the pile of sticks and your reassuring gaze. You nod encouragingly. He takes a deep breath and picks up a twig, adding it to the base of the nest. Slowly, the nest begins to catch fire. The flames are small at first, flickering and uncertain, like the old man's hands. But with each passing moment, the fire grows stronger, more confident. Sitting back, you watch as the group gathers around the fire, their faces illuminated by the dancing flames. You see the wonder in their eyes, the excitement on their lips, and you know that this moment will stay with them for a lifetime. The old man turns to you, a grateful smile on his face. "Thank you," he says, his voice hoarse with emotion, "for showing us this, for sharing your knowledge with us." You shake your head, unable to speak. The emotions he's feeling, the gratitude, the humility, they're all too familiar to you. You remember when you first learned the skill, when you first felt the power it gave you, and then the responsibility. It's a heavy burden to carry alone, and you're glad to finally share it. The girl, still sitting quietly, picks up a small stone and begins to polish it, smoothing the rough edges until it gleams like a mirror. You notice the concentration on her face, the way her brow furrows slightly as she works. You see a spark in her eyes that reminds you of yourself, of the countless hours you've spent honing your craft. You turn to the rest of the group and raise your voice, calling for their attention. The flint and steel is a powerful tool, you say, your words echoing in the stillness. It can bring warmth and light to those who know how to use it, but it can also cause great harm if it falls into the wrong hands. It is a skill that must be earned, respected, and understood. Their eyes meet yours, their expressions a mix of seriousness and determination. Are you ready to earn this skill? You ask, your voice echoing in the stillness. They respond in unison, their voices ringing with conviction. We are ready. As the fire crackles merrily, casting long shadows around the clearing, you begin your lessons. You show them how to choose the perfect flint, how to find the sharpest steel, and how to create the ideal fire saw. Each step is met with eager attention, each new skill mastered with triumphant cheers. It is a long night filled with laughter, frustration, and camaraderie. As the moon climbs higher in the sky, you watch as the group struggles and succeeds, stumbles and rises again. You see determination on their faces, sweat on their brows, and most importantly, you see progress. As the first rays of sunlight peek through the trees, you call for a final round of practice. The group, though tired, rallies together, their spirits high. With a shared purpose, they put everything they've learned into practice, and each member successfully creates a fire. As the morning mist clears and the sun climbs higher in the sky, you gather the group together. Their faces are flushed with exertion, their eyes shining with accomplishment. You have shown patience, respect, and understanding, you say, your voice filled with pride. You have earned the right to carry the flint and steel. A cheer rises from the group, echoing through the forest. From that day forward, the flint and steel becomes a symbol of unity for the group. Each member carries it with them, not just as a tool, but as a reminder of the skills they've honed and the knowledge they now possess. As the seasons change and the years pass, the memory of that night by the riverbank remains vivid in their minds. They tell stories of their initiation, passing on the knowledge and ensuring the tradition continues. And you, little wolf, stand at the center of it all, watching your legacy live on. You are no longer alone in your knowledge. Others now ask to learn. They sit with you beside the stones. You show them the flint, the moss, the grass nest. They mimic your movements. Some are patient, some are not. One young girl is quiet. She strikes carefully. Her sparks are strong. The fire comes quickly in her hands. You nod. She smiles, only a little. The elder man cannot make it catch. His hands are slow. His eyes grow tired. You place your hand over his and help him strike. A spark flares, and he exhales softly, so others can make fire too. Not always, not easily, but it happens. Now, it is no longer your secret. It belongs to the group. But no one forgets who first found it, not even you. One night, someone arranges the stones. They form a ring around the fire, smooth, flat stones from the river, warmed in the sun. The fire sits in the middle. It no longer wanders or grows wild. It is contained, held, honored. The tribe gathers around it, not randomly, but evenly spaced. A true circle. No one planned this. It simply happened. They sit. They listen. One person hums a low tone. Another adds a rhythm. Two stones tap together. A voice speaks, slowly, then stops. The fire burns in the center, calm and steady. You realize something. This is different from sleep. This is attention. The fire has made a place for stillness, for listening, for remembering. The circle will return each night, and so will the flame. Welcome to the fire. I'm glad you came. Do you see that stone over there? That smooth, flat one by the river? When I picked it up, it was still warm from the sun. I knew then we were going to build a ring of stones tonight. I didn't know why. I just knew we would gather them. Smooth, flat stones. We found plenty. And when we stood back, we realized they formed a perfect circle around the fire. The fire had been wandering the whole evening, leaping high and crackling, chasing shadows through the trees. We watched it go, not knowing where it would land, what shape it would make. And now, it sits here in the center, calm and still. How did that happen? It's not magic. It's just letting the fire do its thing. All that wild energy had somewhere to go. It spent itself, sank down into the earth, settled into a stillness that lets us breathe. We all came to the fire at different times. Some stayed close by, others walked a long way. Now we are gathered here together. There are 14 of us, 13 people, and the one who arranged the stones. I think she knew how many of us there would be. I think she knew the size of the fire and how much space it would need. She is patient. She has been sitting here for a long time. I wonder if she remembers why she came. I wonder if any of us do. There is a blanket beside her, and it smells like sage. Sometimes when the wind blows, the smoke from the fire drifts across our faces. The air is alive with tiny sparks that dance and fly away like stars. One lands on my hand, another in my hair. It's going to be a beautiful night. The sky is full of stars. The moon hangs heavy in the darkness, watching us. And we are making a new shape in the old space. It's happening again. This is the third night. The first night, 3 of us sat in the circle. The second night, 7. Now there are 14. I can feel the others pulling me toward them. My body wants to move, to dance in the flickering light, to sway and twirl and spin. But I am rooted to the spot. My feet are heavy. It's as though the earth is holding me here. I want to run. I want to scream. Instead, I sit still. I close my eyes. I try to breathe. Do you ever feel like that? Like something inside you is pushing to get out, trying to break free? Could you keep it in because it's too scary, too hard, too painful to let go? I'm learning to hold space for that part of me, to honor it, to watch it, to allow it to be there without needing to change it, fix it, or understand it. This is what the fire teaches me. It doesn't ask me why I'm here. It doesn't judge me for staying or leaving. It simply holds me in its presence and lets me be. Each time I come to the fire, I bring something different. The first night, my anger. The second night, my fear. Tonight, my grief. And as I sit here in the circle, the fire lets me hold that grief without burning it. It allows me to be sad without making me feel smaller, weaker, lonelier. I'm not afraid anymore. I can cry. Tears stream down my face, washing away years of pain and loss. I thought I'd buried those tears long ago, but they were still inside me, waiting for a safe place to land. Okay, the fire has made a place for them. A woman begins to hum, the low, grounding tone that vibrates in my chest. Another picks it up, adding a rhythm by tapping 2 stones together. Soon we are all clapping and singing, moving in a circle. Our voices rise and fall. We speak in turns, slowly at first, then faster and faster. Each of us has something to say, something important that needs to be heard. I listen to their stories and feel connected. I listen to my own story and feel whole. I see that girl over there. She's so tiny, old, 6 months, maybe a year. I remember when I cradled her, how soft and warm she was. I remember how I sang to her, how I rocked her to sleep. I remember how I prayed that she would grow up happy and strong. Where did all that time go? She is all grown up and sitting in a circle of firelight with 13 other people she calls family. I wonder what she's thinking. I wonder what she feels. I wonder what story she will tell. And then I see him. He's so small, so helpless, so dependent. Hold, 3 months, maybe 4. I remember rocking him, feeding him, changing his diapers. I remember how he smelled like heaven, like pure potential, like infinite possibility. I remember how I hoped he would find his way in the world, that he would leave his mark, that he would touch other people's lives in a positive way. Where did all that time go? He's all grown up and sitting in a circle of firelight with 13 other people he calls family. I wonder what he's thinking. I wonder what he feels. I wonder what story he will tell. They are gone. They are dead. How do I know? Because I can feel the space where they used to be. I can hear the echoes of their laughter. I can see the ghosts of their smiles. Grief pulls me under. It drags me down into the darkness, into the deepest part of me where memories live. I want to pull away, but I don't. I stay. I keep breathing, trust the fire to hold me. And then I hear his voice. It's deep and resonant and strong. He tells stories about his grandfather, about the tribe, about life. His voice makes the stories come alive. I can almost see them, can almost feel them. I can almost hear them. His voice slows down. He looks around the circle. His eyes meet mine. And for a moment, everything is still. I see the love in his eyes, the wisdom in his smile, the kindness in his heart. I see the strength in his hands, the courage in his spirit, the gentleness in his touch. I see my son. I see my husband. I see my father. I see my brother. I see my friends. I see my community. He speaks, slowly, then stops. Comfortable silence settles over us. We all turn our faces toward the fire. We watch the flames dance and flicker. We listen to the logs crackle and pop. We feel the warmth spread through our bodies. We know that if any of us need to speak, we can. If any of us need to move, we may. If any of us need to leave, we may. But for now, we sit together in the safety of the circle, surrounded by the sacredness of the fire. And I realize something. This is different from sleep. This is attention. The fire has made a place for stillness, for listening, for remembering. The circle will return each night, and so will the flame. We have a lot of stories about the creation of the world and how the world came to be inhabited by humans and animals. And then we have other stories about the end of the world, which can come in many forms. Today's story is more like a life lesson than anything else. Something a person might tell their child while sitting beside a campfire. It's a good thing to remember that not all fire lasts. Sometimes the wind is too strong, or a spark catches the wrong branch, and the flames rise too fast. One day, the shelter burns. Now, in this story, the shelter doesn't burn completely, but enough is destroyed to get the point across. You see, they had a nice shelter, warm and safe and snug. A place where they could store things, food and materials for making tools and weapons, and especially their furs and their hides for warmth. They took pride in their shelter, and though it wasn't big enough for everyone in the clan, it was large enough for a family unit. There were times when it seemed as if the shelter might burn, when sparks flew from the fire pit and raced out into the dried grass, but it never happened. Then, one day, the wind shifted. The fire pit, built in the center of the shelter, was surrounded by dry branches and leaves and cured meat. It was a tinderbox waiting for a spark, and the wind drove those sparks out into the branches above them. It happened so fast, no one had time to react. One minute they were gathered inside the shelter, eating breakfast. The next minute, they were stumbling around in a cloud of black smoke, coughing and choking, tripping over each other. The fire had taken a wall of their shelter, a whole side, almost. They ran outside, stunned and scared. It was a small fire, but the smoke was thick and the smell was sharp and bitter. It drifted through the trees like a dark fog. The elder woman stood, watching it all, her face creased with worry lines. Her son, his wife, and their 2 children stood beside her, hiding behind her skirts. When the fire died down, they went back into the shelter, each one of them trying to find something, anything, that hadn't been burned or stolen by the flames. One of the younger men found a basket of fish, nearly burnt to a crisp. The youngest woman found a blanket with a hole melted clean through the middle of it. A young boy burst into tears because his toy boat was gone. He had made it himself from reeds and sap, and it had been his most prized possession. The fire had taken it. The fire had taken many things, but it had not taken anyone. No one was hurt. That was something to be thankful for. Later that night, after they had built a new fire and eaten some of their rescued fish, the elder spoke. The fire gives, she said, but the fire also takes, okay? This was not something anyone wanted to hear. They had always thought of their fire pit as a good thing, a provider, kept them warm, and it cooked their food. It made their shelter possible, and their lives bearable. Never once had they thought of it as a taker, but it was true. Their fire had taken their possessions, their tools, their very home. The youngest woman spoke up. She had been listening intently to every word. Then, what do we do? She asked. How can we live without fire? They were all quiet for a long moment. They couldn't live without fire. It was a part of their lives. It was a part of who they were. We learn, said the elder, reaching out to squeeze the girl's hand. We learn that the fire is not a pet, and the fire is not a servant. It is its own being. We must treat it with respect. We must give it care, set limits for it, give it space. If we do that, she said, then the fire will give us light and warmth and cook our food. But if we don't, she added, then the fire will take what it wants. They all agreed, even the young ones, that the fire would have to be different from then on. The first thing they did was to dig a deep hole and make a pit. They lined it with stones and built the fire in the pit. That way, even if the wind blew and sparks flew, they wouldn't ignite anything. They dug a wide circle around the fire pit. Inside the circle, they only kept the things they needed. They put the fire pit in the center of the circle and left room all around it so the fire could breathe. Every morning, they filled the circle with water. Every evening, they stoked the fire. Tays sang to it, and they danced around it, okay? They told it stories, and they listened to it crackle and pop. And sometimes, when the moon was full and the shadows were long, they talked to it as if it were a living thing. It was a strange thing to do, but they had learned something very important. Fire is not a pet, and fire is not a servant. It is its own being. One day, the elder woman was collecting firewood with two of the younger women. They were silent for a while, thinking about the fire, about how to honor it. Finally, one of the younger women spoke. What if we honor it with an offering? She asked. What if we give it something it wants? The elder nodded slowly. That was a good idea, but what could the fire want? The answer came from an unexpected source. It was the little boy who had lost his boat. He had been watching them work with a curious eye. I know what the fire wants, he piped up. All three women turned to him. You do? Asked the elder. The boy nodded solemnly. It wants ash, he said. It wants to be covered with ash. Now, they didn't understand that right away. They thought he meant that the fire wanted them to throw sticks and rocks and dirt into it, to bury it with ash. But the boy shook his head. No, he said. It wants to be a part of the earth. It wants to go back to the earth. The boy pointed to a log nearby. It was hollowed out from years of being close to the fire pit. It was filled with ash. The fire wants this, he said, holding up a handful of ash. It wants to sleep in this. The elder understood right away, but she let the other women ponder it for a moment. Okay, then she nodded slowly. She said, the fire wants to be a part of the earth again. It wants to rest. Okay. So they did as the boy suggested. Okay. Every night before they went to bed, they put some ash on top of their fire pit. By morning, the ash had turned to gray. They raked it out into a pile and put it in a carved bone shell. Then they carried it to the hollow log and put it inside. They kept doing that every day, night after night, until the log was filled to the brim with ash. Then they did something else. They started throwing small stones into the fire pit. At first, the fire sputtered and popped and hissed, but soon it grew calm. Then they put a few pieces of wood in the pit and set the fire one last time. They watched as the flames rose one last time and reached up toward the sky. When the fire died down, they knew it was ready. All of them, young and old, stood in a circle around the log. The elder woman took a pinch of ash and sprinkled it in the air. Sleep well, little fire, she said. You have been a good fire. You have given much, and now you will take much. then they all walked away, leaving the log to smolder in peace. The ash remained. They scooped it with their bone shell and kept it in their hollow log. Ash is memory, okay? The fire forgets, but you remember. Sometimes people forget lessons they have learned. Sometimes they need to be reminded. Sometimes they need to hear a story. The rains come. Long, slow, cold rain. Days without sun. Clothes soaked to the bone. Hair plastered to your skull. Face slick with water. Everything wet. Okay? The moss, the rocks, the trees, the ground. The leaves long turn to rusty brown rustle down from the dripping branches and gather at your feet. There's no escape from the dampness. First, the rain falls on the thatched roof in a steady drumming, then becomes a roaring torrent. The stream nearby rises, spills over its banks, and snakes its way into the camp, turning the ground into a sucking, muddy mess. The fire struggles against the onslaught. Sparks leap from the logs and vanish into the driving rain. One by one, the flames succumb, leaving glowing embers that spit and crackle as the deluge beats down upon them. Soon, only a thin veil of smoke betrays the dying fire, and even that is blown away before it can rise and curl. You need to protect what's left of the fire, but how? With so much rain beating down upon it, there is little hope for kindling. Fresh sticks and branches quickly grow sodden and useless, and the wind snatches them from your hands before you can offer them up to the flames. You huddle closer to the dying embers, your knees nearly touching the stones beneath you. All around, the world is wet. Even you were wet, yet here the fire is still burning. It flickers weakly, but it is there. Even when everything else is wet, it is there. But as the night deepens and the rain shows no sign of stopping, the prospect of a new dawn seems more and more unlikely. Perhaps morning will be nothing but more rain, more gray skies, more endless wetness. Will the sun ever shine again? Will the world ever be dry? Then you remember a trick your grandmother told you about long ago. She was an old woman then, her face a map of wrinkles and time. You sat at her feet, listening to stories of the world beyond your village of beasts and battles, kings and queens, and most wondrous of all of far-off lands where the sun shone even in the darkest of nights. When the sky grew dark and the rain began, she had smiled, a knowing, gentle smile. "Ah," she had said, "the rain's come." She did not ask why, nor did she complain about a deluge. Instead, she reached out a gnarled hand and pulled you close. "Do you know what to do when the rains come?" she asked. You shook your head against her shoulder, and she began to sing a song of rhythm and rhyme that told the tale of how to keep the fire burning when the heavens cried. And now, many years later, you recall those words, and they offer a fragile hope. You build a cover above the fire, a dome of sorts made of sticks and bark, and try to stretch animal skins taut above it. You do your best to keep the water out, but it's hard to make it watertight. The wind drives the rain in sideways, and the flimsy shelter does little to stop it. Still, it's something. It keeps some of the water out and the rest deflected. Gently, carefully, you gather dry moss by the fire's edge, enough to form a thin layer over the embers. Then you rotate the logs, coaxing fresh fuel towards the dying flames. A spark leaps up, takes hold, and soon a small fire dances merrily within the shelter of stones. For now, it is enough. As the night drags on, you tend the fire, burying some of the embers in ash to keep them alive. Each time the wind shifts and rain lashes at the shelter, you flinch, fearing it will all be washed away, but it holds, just barely, and the fire with it. Every so often, you blow on it gently, trying to coax it back to life, trying to bring warmth back into the darkness. And slowly, oh, so slowly, it responds. The hours pass. Slowly, the fire grows again, hesitantly at first, then with a growing confidence. Embers glow, flames reach up, and sparks fly. Finally, the rain abates somewhat, and the wind drops to a whisper. The clouds drift away, revealing a sliver of moon through the retreating darkness. The stream recedes, leaving behind a landscape of glistening black mud and fallen leaves. Dawn comes, but it is not the glorious return of the sun you had hoped for. The clouds remain heavy and full of rain. The sun cannot penetrate the gloom, and the world is as dark as twilight. Grimly, you step out of the shelter, pulling your dripping cloak tighter around you. You shiver, not only from the cold, but from exhaustion. The endless night has sapped your strength. You need rest, but the day is dark, and the fire, though now large and thriving, is unseasoned and smoky. Fresh wood will burn brighter and warmer. Still, you must rest. You find a sheltered spot among the rocks. Wrap yourself in your cloak and close your eyes. The fire crackles cheerfully nearby, and you dream of sunlit fields and warm days of hearth fires and home. You dream of light in the endless rain. Hours pass, or perhaps it is only minutes. Time means little when you have slept so long. When you wake, you are chilled to the bone. The rain has started again, and this time it is joined by a biting wind that bites at exposed skin and whips your hair across your face. You stand and shake yourself awake, then hurry back to the fire. It is burned low in your absence, but a few well-placed logs soon have it roaring once more. As you settle back to watch the flames dance, you notice something strange. Before, the darkness had been absolute, broken only by the crackling fire and the drumming rain. Now, you can see shapes moving in the gloom, hear voices carried on the wind. The forest is alive. At first, the shapes and sounds seem distant, like a dream. Then they draw closer. Soon, creatures emerge from the mist, their forms shifting and changing as they move. Tall, thin figures with pointed ears peer at you from behind trees. Short, stocky ones scuttle along the ground, and great hulking shapes lumber past, shaking the very earth with each step. Some of the creatures stare at you curiously, while others snarl and bare their teeth. Some cower in fear, while others stride confidently forward. One by one, they approach the fire, drawn by its light and warmth. They tell you tales of the forest, of ancient trees and hidden places, of beasts and battles, kings and queens. There is Ilara, the swift and silent huntress, who moves like a shadow through the trees, and Rorik, the strong and steadfast guardian of the forest, his roots deep in the earth, his branches reaching to the heavens. And then there is Alder, the cunning and playful trickster, always ready with a joke or a riddle. With each story, the fire burns brighter, casting dancing shadows on the surrounding trees. And as the creatures depart, taking their tales with them, the flames grow stronger still. You feel a surge of energy, a rush of power. You are alive. It's the cold, the rain, the darkness. None of it matters. It's here, in this clearing. In the heart of the storm, you are warm, you are safe. You are one with the fire. Okay. But as the night deepens and the creatures depart, you remember that tomorrow the sun may not shine. Will the creatures return? Will the force be as alive? Will you feel as connected to the world? Or will you be alone once more, facing the darkness with only the memory of firelight to guide you? Slowly, the fire begins to burn low. Embers fade, flames die down, and the forest grows quiet. Only the crackling of the fire and the drumming of the rain remained. Still, you sit by the fire, watching the flames dance. You feel a sense of peace, a feeling of connection to something larger than yourself. The rain may fall and the darkness may linger, but the fire is yours. It is a part of you, and you are a part of it. Okay, and together you are strong. Together you can endure. And as long as you tend to fire, as long as you keep it burning, you will be safe. In the beginning was the hunt, a chase through the tall trees. The target between the hunter and the prey, a flash of white tail, a spray of red stain against the green. And then it was done. The next thing you know, you're back at camp. The familiar scent of wood smoke and something else, sweet and rich, fills your nostrils. The sound of your mother's voice weaves through the tall trees. You find her by the fire, scraping the hide of the freshly killed deer. Beside her, your younger brother is sharpening his hunting spear. His eyes are bright with excitement. He is too young to hunt, but soon he will be old enough. Soon he will be strong enough. Tia, come and kneel beside your mother. She reaches out a hand and strokes your hair. Her fingers are calloused and strong, like all the women of your tribe. It is an honor to be touched by her. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, seasons turn. The weather grows cold. The leaves fall from the trees and blanket the ground in red, gold, and brown. Soon the snow will fall. One morning, the scouts return from the far trees. Their faces are grim. They speak of another group. Far away, across the ridge, they have been watching. They speak of strange voices and similar clothes. War paint, they say, is on their bodies. Spears, just like yours. They came from the east, over the mountains. They are many. You sense the fear that ripples through your people, a current that threatens to pull everything in its path into the dark waters of the unknown. Your father, the chief, speaks. He is a bear of a man, his face weathered and lined like the bark of an ancient oak. You can hear the strength in his voice as he says there must be preparation. There must be defense. But how? How do you defend yourself from something you cannot see, something you do not understand? And then the decision is made. You are chosen. You are to go to the other side of the ridge, find the strangers, and see what they want. You are afraid. You know there is danger in the task ahead, but no one else is willing to go. No one else has volunteered. So now it is up to you. You gather your things. You take your spear, the one your brother will use when he hunts. You take your finest skins and wrap yourself in them, and you take the bow. Your mother hollows it from a sturdy piece of wood and covers the bottom with damp moss. She hands it to you. Inside, she has placed some coals and nestled them in the ash. Wrap this well, she says, so it does not go out. Take it to the strangers. It is our peace offering. It's our way of saying we mean them no harm. You hug her tight, breathing in the scent of pine and earth that clings to her hair, to her skin. She smells like home. She smells like safety. But home and safety are gone now. You are alone. You leave camp and start walking, carrying the bowl, keeping it close, making sure the moss does not dry out. You walk for a day. The forest is silent, broken only by the crunch of dead leaves under your feet and the babble of a nearby river. As you cross, you can feel the cold water seeping through your leggings and chilling your legs, but you keep going. The stranger's fire must be built. The bowl must be delivered. You walk until the trees grow dark against the gray sky, and the last rays of sun slip between the branches, painting fleeting streaks of gold and red on the forest floor. You stop and go no farther tonight. You find a sheltered spot among the trees, build a small fire, and make camp for the night. You sleep, curled in a ball, wrapped in your skins, hugging your knees to your chest. In the darkness, you dream of chasing deer through sun-dappled glades, and of your mother's warm smile as she hands you a cup of hot stew. Then the trees whisper of danger, of lurking enemies. And you wake with a start, heart pounding, breath coming in ragged gasps. You are not alone. Kneeling beside you is a figure swathed in leather, its face hidden in the shadows of a hood. You raise your spear, your voice echoing in the stillness of the forest. Who are you? What do you want? The figure does not move, does not answer. It only watches you, and you realize with a jolt that there are more of them, several more, surrounding you in a circle, their eyes gleaming like chips of ice in the firelight. They are the ones who came from the east, the ones your scouts have been watching. The strangers. You lower your spear, slowly backing away from the fire, never taking your eyes off the figures in front of you. You don't know what to expect. What will happen next? Will they attack? Will they try to take the bowl? What do they want? You take a step back, then another. They want the bowl. They must take it from your dead hands. But the figure rises and takes a step towards you, and ready to run, ready to fight. Instead, the figure holds out a hand. It turns its head, revealing a face as weathered and lined as the bark of an ancient oak. Its eyes, though, are sharp and clear as mountain springs. Come, it says, and you go. You reach the clearing and stop. Spread before you is a breathtaking sight. On the ground is a collection of tents, their peaks adorned with intricate designs. Around them are fires, their flames dancing merrily in the evening breeze. Men and women, all wearing similar clothes, sit around the fires, talking in low voices. Some are sharpening weapons, others tending to fires or cooking over flames. They look up as you enter the clearing, their gazes curious. You return their stares, wondering what they're thinking, what they'll do. The leader beckons again, and you follow, your steps hesitant, your eyes alert. The leader gestures to a place beside one of the fires. You kneel, setting the bowl on the ground beside you. Slowly, carefully, you blow coaxing life into the embers. A thin thread of smoke curls skyward, mingling with the scent of wood smoke and roasting meat. A flicker of flame, then another, soon becoming a roaring blaze. You stare into the fire, waiting. A moment stretches, then breaks. The leader rises, his gaze intense. He steps closer to the fire, cupping his hands as if to catch its warmth. His eyes meet yours, and for a moment, you see understanding dawn in their depths. He turns back to the fire, lost in thought. You stay kneeling, watching him, unsure what to do next. Finally, the leader speaks, his voice deep and resonant. He says nothing, but you sense the weight of his words, the story they hold. He is welcoming you, accepting your gift. He is offering you peace. Relief washes over you, and you let out a breath you didn't realize you were holding. The leader turns back to you, and this time, a small smile touches his lips. He motions to the fire, and you understand. He wants you to come closer, to share the warmth of his fire. You rise and walk toward the flames, feeling their comforting heat envelop you. You sit down beside the men, and for the first time since you left your camp, you relax, letting the warmth of the fire soothe your tired muscles and weary soul. You leave them to fire and return alone. You walk back the way you came, the memory of the crackling fire and the smell of wood smoke filling your thoughts. You can hear the laughter and chatter of the other side of the ridge, and you feel a pang of loss at leaving them behind. But you know you must go back. Your people need you. You are their link to the outside world, to the people beyond the trees. You walk until you reach your own camp, the boundary between the two groups solidifying with each step. As you approach your camp, you straighten your shoulders, pulling your skins tighter around you. You quicken your pace, eager to share the news, to tell them of the encounter, of the peace offering, of the fire. You burst into the clearing, your voice ringing with excitement. They want peace. We gave them the fire. The people beyond the ridge, they want for us to be friends. Your words tumble out, and you can see the shock, the disbelief, the cautious hope on your people's faces. Your mother steps forward, her eyes shining with tears. She embraces you, holding you tight, burying her face in your neck. You hug her back, feeling the warmth of her body, the scent of pine and earth that clings to her, grounding you, bringing you home. When you pull away, you see your father standing tall, his gaze fixed on the horizon. He doesn't speak, but his eyes, they speak volumes, expressing the gratitude, the relief, the cautious optimism that swells within him. From that day forward, the two tribes live in harmony, sharing stories, laughter, and most importantly, the warmth of their fires. A testament to the courage of one young man who dared to venture beyond the trees. The cave is silent, except for the crackle of the fire and the drip of melting snow outside. It's been 5 days since the bombs fell. It's 5 days since we huddled together in this small cave, hoping it would protect us from the fallout, hoping that when we emerged, the world would still be ours. But when the bombs fell, they took something else with them, okay? Took our voices. Now we huddle around the fire, drinking hot water and trying to forget about the silence. The youngest boy, Dashiell, he tries to make conversation. He asks if anyone has seen his dog. And when no one responds, he looks down at his feet. Soon enough, even the wind outside subsides, and all we can hear is the ticking of the clock in the corner. It used to belong to the woman who owned the cabin. Now it belongs to the dead. And every tick of its cold, metallic heart reminds me of the things we used to have, the things we've lost, the things we may never get back. Till it's times like these when my wife reaches out and squeezes my hand. It's times like these when I remember what it feels like to be alive. But she's gone now, along with the rest of my family. So I sit here by the fire with strangers, pretending that I'm not afraid. We have almost run out of food and water. We ration what remains and try to keep busy, but after a while, there's nothing left to talk about. One by one, people start to drift off to sleep. It's too early for bed, but too late for anything else. No one dares to break the silence, okay? But as the night wears on, I can't help but wonder, are we safe? Will tomorrow be better than today? Will the sun ever shine again? Will we ever hear birds singing in the trees or the laughter of children? Or is this silence our new reality? Just then, I begin to notice something strange. When the fire burns, it casts shadows on the wall of the shelter. Behind the sitting bodies, behind my own hands, shapes move. They flicker, they stretch, they shrink. At first, I ignore them. I tell myself it's just a trick of the light. Okay, but one evening, while the others sleep, I stare at the stone wall. The firelight dances across it. The shadows rise and fall, bend and shift. I move my fingers. The shadow moves. I shake my hand like a bird. The stone shows a bird. I bring a stick. I wave it slowly. A long shadow cuts through the firelight. Okay. Then, one of the children wakes. She sees me. She does the same. Others begin to copy. At first, it's awkward. People look uncomfortable, unsure of what to do. But slowly, hesitantly, they begin to open their palms, to point their fingers, to make tall, thin shadows on the wall. They make animals. They make flowers. They make trees. They make shapes, and the shapes come alive on the wall. It doesn't stop the silence, but it's something to fill the empty space where our voices should be. I see the young girl again. She steps closer to the fire and holds up her hand. It's trembling. I ask her if she's all right. She nods. Eyes are fixed on the wall. As she speaks, her words come out slow and hesitant, like pebbles dropped into a still pond. I remember, she says, my sister and I used to play this game. We would make shadow puppets on the wall. We had a whole story about a brave knight who fought a dragon and rescued a princess. I smile. That sounds like a good story. It was, she whispers. Her name was Lily. My sister's name was Lily. For a moment, I see not a scared little girl, but a knight battling dragons, rescuing princesses. The others, they nod. Some tears roll down their cheeks. One man, he stands up. He walks to the wall and makes a small boat. He says, my son loved boats. He had this one toy boat. It was red with a white sail. He would spend hours playing with it in the bathtub. He said it was going on adventures. Another woman, she joins him. Together, they make a sailboat, then 2 birds flying in the sky. And as the night goes on, more and more stories fill the cave. A tailor making bread, a tailor sewing clothes, a king riding a horse, a giant tipping over a house, a witch stirring a cauldron, a boy fishing by a stream. For a few moments, we forget the bombs, the fallout, the silence. We remember laughter. We remember stories. We remember life. And as I listen to these stories, I remember mine. I remember when my son was born. The first word he said was Dada. I remember how proud I was. I remember my wife and I walking hand in hand through the autumn leaves. I remember the warmth of the sun on my skin, the taste of fresh strawberries, the sound of waves crashing on the shore. These memories, they bring tears to my eyes, but they also bring a smile to my lips. Then someone begins to sing a song. It's a lullaby, soft and gentle, and soon the others join in. We sing about faraway lands, about talking animals and magical things. Our voices are weak and shaky at first, but as the song goes on, they grow stronger, braver, louder. And for a few precious moments, the silence is broken. When the first rays of sunlight peek through the cracks in the cave, we stop singing. We're all exhausted, but there's a faint smile on each of our faces. The young girl from before, she stands up. She walks to the opening of the cave and looks out at the world. "Can you see it?" she asks. "What?" I asks. "The sun," she says. "It's coming back." We all stand there in silence, watching the sun rise. It's a new day. We don't know what lies ahead, but we know that we're not alone. We have each other. We have our stories. We have our memories. And we have the hope that someday, somehow, we'll find a way to rebuild our lives. As the days pass, the ritual continues. Each night before bed, we gather around the fire and make shadows on the cave wall. Each night, we share our stories and memories. Each night, we sing songs. And with each passing day, the silence becomes a little less deafening. The darkness, a little less heavy. The fear, a little less paralyzing. We don't know if the world outside will ever be the same, but we know that inside this cave, we're creating something new, something beautiful, something that gives meaning to our existence in the face of silence. Art is not the greatest thing in the world. It doesn't solve our problems. It doesn't bring back what we've lost. It's something that allows us to keep going, to keep believing in the power of humanity, to keep believing that even in the darkest of times, beauty can still be found. Once upon a time, there was a people whose lives were filled with chaos. Everywhere they looked, they saw disturbances and disquiet. And so they welcomed the rare moments of peace and quiet. They would rejoice when the wind did not blow, when it was still, when the world was holding its breath. One night, the wind does not blow. It is quiet, perfectly still. The flame burns upward, straight and tall. No flicker, no dance. You sit and watch it. It feels different. The heat is steady. The light is clean. The shadows lie flat. There is no movement, only glow. You lean closer. The silence feels thick. The others sleep deeply. Even the birds in the trees are quiet. You begin to wonder, is the flame listening? It says nothing, but you feel something. Not a thought, not a voice, just presence. Like the fire is no longer just fire. It is more. You have heard stories about nights like this. Nights when the veil between the worlds is at its thinnest. Nights when the spirits walk the earth, and the boundary between the seen and unseen is but a whisper. Tonight is one of those nights. A night when the barriers fall and the impossible becomes possible. A night when the old magic stirs and dreams take flight. You have heard tales of how the ancient ones used to spend these nights, dancing around bonfires, calling out to the spirits of the ancestors. They say that on nights like these, the dead walk among the living, and the veil between the worlds is so thin that a whisper can carry across. The old magic is stirring tonight, and you are drawn to it like a moth to a flame. You find yourself sitting by a fire, mesmerized by its flickering dance. The flames seem to reach up towards the night sky like eager fingers, and their shadows twist and turn on the ground, creating a mesmerizing display of light and dark. You don't know how long you've been sitting there, lost in the hypnotic rhythm of the fire. But as you watch, a strange feeling comes over you, a sense of anticipation and wonder. The air around you seems to shimmer, and the darkness beyond the firelight takes on a life of its own. You feel a presence in the shadows, something watching you, waiting. Fear prickles at the back of your neck, but you can't look away. You are transfixed by the dancing flames, by the secrets they seem to hold. Suddenly, the flames flare up, reaching towards the sky with renewed vigor. And in that moment, you see it, a face in the flames. It seems to emerge from the fire itself, its features both familiar and strange. You lean closer, trying to make out its expression, its eyes, but it remains a tantalizing blur. Then, just as quickly, it vanishes. Was it a trick of the light, a figment of your imagination, or something more, tweened? You aren't sure? The hairs on the back of your arms stand on end. Your heart pounds in your chest, and you can't help but shiver despite the warmth of the fire. What you have just seen, if only for a fleeting moment, has shaken you to your core. It is a glimpse behind the veil, a reminder that there are things in this world that we cannot explain, that the boundaries of our understanding are limited, and that the darkness holds mysteries that we may never fully comprehend. Lost in thought, you continue to stare into the flames, searching for answers, for meaning, but the fire offers no solace, only its silent, crackling presence. As the night deepens, the shadows grow longer and the darkness more intense. The fire becomes your only source of light, a beacon in the encroaching gloom. And as you sit there, enveloped by the flickering flames, you realize that you are not alone. Something else is present, something intangible, yet powerful, watching, waiting. A sudden gust of wind rustles through the trees, sending a chill down your spine. The flames sputter, and for a moment, you are plunged into darkness. When your eyes adjust, you see that the fire has changed. It is no longer burning brightly, but smolders faintly, its embers glowing like dying embers. The face in the flames, if it had ever been there at all, is gone. And you are left in the suffocating darkness, surrounded by the chilling silence of the night. Then you hear it, a whisper, barely audible, yet it sends shivers down your spine. The whisper grows louder, taking on a voice, a presence. It seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, weaving in and out of the trees, dancing around you. You try to make out the words, to discern the source, but it all seems like a jumbled mess of sound and shadow. Terror grips you, paralyzing you in place as the whispering voice echoes around you, growing louder, more insistent. You close your eyes tight, wishing for it to stop, but it only intensifies. As if, sensing your fear, the shadows around you seem to writhe and twist, taking on forms of their own. They stretch and contort, reaching out towards you like grasping claws, and you can almost feel their icy touch on your skin. Your mind races, trying to make sense of what you are experiencing, but all you can think of are the stories. You have heard the legends of restless spirits of creatures that dwell in the darkness, preying on the fears of mortals. You want to scream, to run, but terror has frozen you in place, and you can only cower as the whispering voice continues its relentless assault on your sanity. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it stops. The whispering voice fades into silence, leaving you in the suffocating stillness of the night. The shadows retreat, withdrawing back into the darkness from which they came, and you are left trembling, bathed in the faint glow of the dying embers. The fire has burned low, its flames extinguished, leaving behind only a pile of smoldering ashes. The night is still, too still, and the darkness seems to press in on you, heavy and oppressive. You are alone, or so you think, until you hear a soft rustle in the underbrush. It is a small sound, easily dismissed, yet it sets off a jolt of fear through you. You strain to listen, your heart pounding in your chest, and then you hear it again, a slight movement in the darkness, something just beyond the reach of your sight. Your breath catches in your throat as you try to make sense of the sound. Your mind conjuring up images of unseen creatures lurking in the shadows. You want to call out, to break the silence, but fear keeps your voice trapped inside. You consider running, but where would you go? The forest is dark and unfamiliar, and the rustling sound seems to be coming from all around you. You are trapped in a nightmare of your own making, and there's no escape. And then you see it, a pair of glowing eyes peering at you from the darkness. They are bright and intense, unwavering in their gaze. You freeze, unable to move, unable to scream. The eyes seem to bore into you, piercing the darkness like twin beacons. And then a low growl rumbles from the underbrush, sending shivers down your spine. It is a sound that speaks of wild, untamed power, of primal instincts and hidden strength. You try to turn away, but an invisible force holds you in its grip, forcing you to face the growing menace in front of you. As the growl intensifies, the eyes advance, stepping out of the darkness, revealing the form that haunts your nightmares. It is a creature of the forest, wild and untamed, its features a blur in the darkness. Its fur is matted and dirty, its teeth bared in a menacing snarl. Its claws are sharp and deadly, glinting in the faint moonlight. With each step it takes, the growl grows louder, more threatening, and you can feel the raw power emanating from the beast. Fear threatens to consume you, paralyzing you with terror. But as the creature steps into the firelight, you catch a glimpse of its face. In that brief moment, you see intelligence in its eyes, sadness, even fear. And in that instant, something shifts within you. The terror does not vanish, but something else emerges, a spark of defiance, a refusal to be cowed by fear. Slowly, carefully, you begin to back away from the creature, keeping your movements slow and deliberate. You do not want to provoke it, but you also do not want to appear weak. As you inch backward, you keep your eyes locked on the creature, reading its every move, anticipating its next action. You do not know what will happen next, but you are determined to face whatever comes your way with a newfound resolve. The creature remains still, watching you intently, and you can feel its gaze boring into you. The seconds tick by, each one an eternity. And then finally, the creature makes its move, lunges forward, its growl echoing through the trees, its claws extended, its teeth bared. But instead of attacking, it does something unexpected. It drops to its knees and lowers its head. It whines softly, and in that moment, you see not a fearsome beast, but a creature in pain, scared and desperate. You hesitate, torn between fear and a newfound sense of empathy. The creature looks up at you, its eyes pleading, and you find yourself leaning forward, reaching out a hand. It is a gesture of kindness, an attempt to connect, and the creature responds by nuzzling your hand, its body trembling slightly. You stroke its fur, feeling its tension ease, and for a moment, there is a connection between you and this wild creature, a bond forged in the heart of the forest. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video to support us. Share your views with us in the comments section.